Welcome to After the Rain, a storytelling podcast from Playa Lakes Joint Venture. These are the voices stewarding the land and the stories that surface after the rain. Out here in the Texas Panhandle, playas dot the landscape. These shallow basins come alive after big rainstorms and quietly recharge the aquifer below. For landowner Jason Lindeman, one of those playas on his family's ground wasn't just a wet spot in the field. It was a chance to do something that just made sense.
I've always been interested in conservation, sustainability, things like that. My dad realized early on that you had to focus more on the amount of productivity. You had to be a good steward with what you have. He kind of tried to start incorporating some no-till practices. So looking at a Playa Lake restoration that kind of had that same sort of conservation emphasis just seemed logical.
Jason restored his playa through the Texas Playa Conservation Initiative, which provides technical support and pays 100% of the restoration cost, as well as a one-time incentive payment. Before the restoration, the basin looked like a lot of playas across the High Plains, modified, reshaped, and serving a different purpose.
It was a typical modified playa that had a constructed ditch leading from just the county borrowed ditch to collect additional rainwater. And it had been widened out and deepened there in the middle. There was the utility pole out there. There was a floating tailwater pump. I remember years and years ago, whenever we were growing corn out there, it did serve its function pretty well as a tailwater pit because we were able to catch tailwater and then pump it back through to do typical row flood irrigation. But as groundwater dropped and as corn got increasingly difficult to grow in that area, we quit growing corn, put in a sprinkler, and having a tailwater pump down there just really didn't make a lot of sense. Anytime that we did get enough rain to fill up the playa, trying to pump that through the sprinkler, it's pretty gross.
Then came the restoration and a chance to bring the playa back to life.
We coordinated with the power company to come and remove all of the utility poles. And then the contractor went out there and kind of smoothed out that ditch that had been constructed and then smoothed out the hole that had been dug there in the bottom of the playa. The few times that I have driven by there, it's looked really nice. My dad, he grew up in that area. My mom actually lived in a little house that was right there adjacent to where that playa was. She lived there back in the 50s and 60s. So both of them have some sentimental connection to that land, and they've enjoyed seeing and knowing that they're doing something to kind of take part in a conservation effort.
For Jason, it's not just a family project. Playa restoration is part of a bigger water story across the High Plains.
I think it's a fabulous idea. I think that it would definitely help restore some of the aquifer to at least provide for some domestic use. Certainly wouldn't be enough to have sustainable agricultural use, but certainly for domestic use. I don't see a lot of folks that are using these modified playas as tailwater pits. As I'm driving around the area and I see these modified playas, I think to myself, oh my goodness, if only they knew, or I wonder if they do know. I'm not sure I understand some of the hesitancy from some of these landowners because it seems to me like it's a win-win proposal.
So what would he say to landowners who don't see playas as worth the effort?
I would just say to think about the benefit of restoring a playa from a soil health, vegetation, the recharge potential, and then also the use for wildlife. And then if none of that gets your motor going, think about the financial incentive. We can all use a little extra money in our pockets.
And the process itself? Smooth sailing.
I thought the process went really well. I was honestly really surprised that it worked out as well as it did. I think there may have been a few timing issues because there were so many people in that specific area that were getting enrolled at the same time. My biggest thing is just I don't understand why more people don't take advantage of it because any little bit of recharge that we can get helps.
For landowners who think it sounds like too much work, Jason says it's easier than what they think.
I was at a conference one time and somebody was talking about some different types of conservation efforts and somebody asked a similar question. What sort of effort am I going to have to put into this? The presenter at that conference said, well, your only effort will be walking to the mailbox to get the check. All kidding aside, though, there might be a little bit of a change in your land use. If you're trying to run cattle or something like that, there may be some times when you have to take your fence down, or you may have to change up some of your grazing patterns. I'm not familiar with a whole lot of folks that have those old tailwater pits anymore.
His restored playa covers about 80 acres, small compared to the map of the High Plains, but powerful in its purpose, because every drop of water counts. From the heart of the Panhandle, this is a story of one family, one playa, and one simple question: why wouldn't you restore a playa?